Bold Sports Show, and as tradition, that's Mr. Casey Dude with the beard, and we're coming at you with the second annual Bold Sports Show mock draft, final draft before the draft, so to speak. Not so to speak, that's what it is. As tradition, Mr. KC, what you got for the people? What's going on?
Oh, another day living the dream. Excited for this NFL draft to finally be over with. We're finally seeing it. We're finally about to make the magic happen.
Yeah, and I think this draft is going to be more exciting than the actual draft we held here in Kansas City just because of the picks that we have and some of the moves that can be made here. Uh, like I said, this is the bold sports show, so this draft is a bold one, but that's how drafts usually are because we have no idea outside of number one what's truly going to happen. But at the end of the day, we all have our prognosis, and we about to give y'all ours. Ain't that right, Mr. KC?
Yes, sir.
And that's just how it is. We ain't gonna waste your time. We're gonna dive on into it. Mr. KC, as tradition, if you don't mind walking us through it, regale us here. Who do you have the Las Vegas Raiders taking with the number one overall pick?
Mendoza. You're going to take a swing at the only quarterback on the board.
Yeah, because it's light years in this particular draft because the only other guy they ever talk about is Ty Simpson from Alabama. But you know how I'm sure everybody knows how I feel about Alabama quarterbacks at this point. And by all means, if you want to go ahead and go there, anyway, I also have Mendoza go on number one to the Raiders, Indiana. There's really no question about it. Tremendous upside. Brady's going to be in the building, maybe guiding him. He's going to get tutelage from the GOAT, so to speak. I'm already a firm believer because I'm a homer and Patrick Mahomes is being the GOAT, but like I said, GOAT, so to speak. So there's that, and that's what it is on that. Moving on to number two, Mr. KC. Who do we got here? It's the New York Jets.
Yeah, I'm going with Reese. Get that Ohio State quick and early.
Mmm. And look, like I always say, I ain't gonna be never mad that it's a Buckeye. I have a different Buckeye going number two. I have them taking Sonny Styles in a pick that they think that the people don't think that they're gonna make, but I think that they will. A dynamic player, fast, it touches every athletic measurement. A sure tackler at this point, especially because he shorted up last year in his last season in Ohio State. Shout out. Um, yeah, it's a Buckeye either way. I think we're both in agreement on that.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you go ahead and take us through
Mhm.
this third pick here?
Next on the board is Arizona. Pick number three. I got offensive tackle Mauga.
Ooh, Francis Mauga. Okay. They definitely need some help up front. There's no denying that here. But I think they also are looking for an explosion on offense. And I think that they take a player that they know they're going to need because they probably go with a different offensive position later on in the draft. And that'll be a conversation after the draft to see what they do. But I think with the second pick that they get, Ty Simpson might be the quarterback of the future. So here at the third pick in an upset and what people wouldn't expect, they are taking Jeremiah Love, running back. They're going to
Mm.
bolster this offense as much as they can. They already have a very dynamic wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. And now they'll get somebody who can shore up the running game and receiving out of the backfield. We're talking about a dude who can rush for 1,000, receive for maybe upwards of 800, if not 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he's very I would say Jamal Charles esque in his ability as far as a capable runner, a guy who averages high yards per attempt, and a guy who can catch the ball and turn the corner and take it to the crib.
Yeah, absolutely. And the weird part to me is I have him at pick number four for the Tennessee Titans, but I can also see him sliding completely out of the top 10.
Yeah, that is a pure capability because some of these other teams do have more pressing needs that they could address, and what I would say would be shocker moves in how the NFL plays it. But according to us, because this is a bold sports show, we put a real eye on it. This is a logical decision. I ain't just making these picks, and I know you ain't just making these picks just cause. This is what This is with considerate thought. And with the fourth pick, I have the Titans going with Spencer Fano, tackle. I'm saying they shore up the front. They give Cam Ward more protection. And really, you can grab, if Jeremiah Love is already gone, you can grab any other running back. Because, not saying that it's just a far-fetched position, but there's other guys. And if you can shore up a spot on that line, you can open up a hole for anybody that should be able to run through it. so get something that you definitely need up front. You solve two problems. You get a guy who's a good pass protector and run blocker, and he'll protect your quarterback, open up gaps for your running back.
And I can definitely see the Titans going that route. It makes a lot of sense, especially with the young quarterback, just trying to keep him upright, or at least
Exactly.
thinking to him. Next on the pick for pick 5, I've got New York Giants going Ohio State. Ohio State with Tony Styles. He's got to come off the board. He's just an athletic freak. The fact he made it this long is pretty impressive.
Yeah, we've already talked about Sonny. Like I said, I got him gone at number 2 because I know what he is. I watched him. Anybody who's been watching the show knows it's what it is. So I know what Sonny Styles brings to the table. Because he's gone on mine, I have them going a different route. I have them taking who you had drafted earlier, Francis Mainoga. He goes to the Giants to shore up the line for their young quarterback and their young running back with Scatterboo. A guy, another guy who's great in pass protection and who can open up run lanes, and he's an absolute dog in the screen game. So, with that being said, I think they go with offensive tackle with their first pick at 5.
I can't be mad at it. Pick number 6, Cleveland. I'm going Jordan Tyson. Look, the only roll of the dice here is that when healthy aspect, but you need to get Shedeur Sanders, someone electric, and that is exactly what you're getting with Tyson. The little asterisk,
See, you know me and what I always say. The Browns are going to be the Browns, just like the Bengals going to Bengal. Sip of the apple juice for the folk. Look, they're going to muff this. And by muffing it, I mean they're going to trade. They're going to trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, the 6th pick. We're going to give them the 9th overall, 3rd round, 74, 2nd round next year in 27. We are going to take with the 6th pick after a trade, Carnell Tate, wide receiver, the Ohio State University. We get another weapon for Patrick. Shore up that offense, turn them back into a juggernaut, maybe get Tyreek Hill on a small deal. We'll see what happens with that and see what he still got left in the speed department. But we need a sure fire weapon, and they need it now. In my first instinct, I was going to go Kenny Sadiq. Thought about it, mulled it over, but this makes the most sense, especially because Brett Veach loves, for some reason, to trade. And I know that it'll be too tempting for him not to, especially because he knows they can move back and still get a piece later on as far as with the other pick that we have. And the Browns will be, traditional Browns things. Trade that pick. That's what's going to happen.
The only thing I don't like about that is out of the mock drafts I did, one of them Tate was there at pick 9. Like it is a possibility that like without a trade, he slips and gets there. Like this could go a slightly different route.
Maybe.
Unfortunately, unfortunately, on my mock board that I've got going here, I actually went with them with the Redskins at pick number 7. So Cornell Tate.
Oops.
So the Chiefs do want him. That pick six move up is exactly where you're going to need to be to leapfrog Washington.
And not even them. I had the Saints in mind. The Saints have a history of always having a draft pick right in front of us and taking a wide receiver that we wanted. It's been their MO, and it's the same this year. And the only way to finally stop that, because we should have had Michael Thomas the first time. If we would have had Michael Thomas, good Lord. Anyway, I digress. This is the move. But I have the Commanders taking a different Buckeye. I have them taking Arvell Reese. I think that he can fit the mold for what they like, and they can be uber athletic at the linebacker position and outside linebacker, especially since they got our boy here. I, I don't even want to speak his name anymore. Just Leo Chanel. Shout out to you, my dog. He goes to Washington with him and some of the other guys they got out there, and it can be a real dynamic defense. I have them taking Arvell Reese at 7.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. With pick number 8, the New Orleans Saints. I've got them taking Bailey from Texas Tech. It's going to be a defensive end.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first pick that me and Mr. Casey are in complete agreement on. Besides the obvious Fernando Mendoza, I also have the Saints taking David Bailey at number 8. It just makes the most sense. I think Cam Jordan is really going to be out the building. I think he's going to be a Chief. The reason why for another pick I made earlier in the draft. It just makes the most sense. You got to do what you got to do right there, and I think that they take him with the 8th pick.
I like it. Pick number 9, the one everyone's waiting for, Kansas City Chiefs. I've got them taking Bain out of the University of Miami. Look, just slid just enough to us. We got a little TRX arms about to shore up this defensive line.
yeah. I have Ruben Bain nowhere near Kansas City, and I hope that that plays out in futility. With the 9th pick, as you know, the Kansas City Chiefs are traded it with the Cleveland Browns. I have them taking Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle. They're going to shore up that line more around him. The run game is already dynamic. You have already a Ohio State Buckeye running back with Junkins. You get a tackle who can open up more lanes. You shore up that line with your young quarterback because Watson's we all know the story. I don't think it's going to last too long. Sanders will be the guy more than likely, but that's another story. But anyway, they go tackle here, shore up that line, and we'll see another move they make later on.
I can dig it. Pick number 10 with the New York Giants this time. The New York Giants. I still got Caleb Downs. You team up those Ohio State guys together and start making this defense something that teams got to fear.
And you look, and y'all know me. I always say that football is the best when the Giants are good, as well as Kansas City, obviously. Um, Caleb Downs there is an instant game changer on defense. We're talking about a 3-level player. Um, like I said, he's Troy Reed, he's or Ed Palomalu, whatever you want to call him, with a mix of Sean Taylor because he can lay the wood. This dude is a beast, and if they got him, they'll be lucky. But I have them going a different direction at number 10. I have them taking Jordan Tyson, a wide receiver. They've already gone address the offensive line. They already have one solid wide receiver. They have a solid running back. You shore up the line, and then you go get another dynamic weapon on the other side of Neighbors in Jordan Tyson, and the Giants' offense is fucking rolling. I'm trying to tell you, and if that happens, I'm gonna be so ecstatic for the Giants. I
I
love
think
the
they're going to be
Giants. I
better
don't know
than
why. I've
people.
never been to New York. I don't none of that shit, but I've always liked the Giants. I don't know why, but it's the same feeling I get about the '80s Pistons. I just like them. I don't know what it is. I just like them.
Right. Next pick on the board, we got Miami, pick number 11. I'm going with Lamont. Lemon out of USC, wide receiver. Look, you're depleted in the wide receiver department. Get somebody. You got to throw it. You got to start rebuilding somehow.
And that ain't nothing but true because, ladies and gentlemen, that's I have Makai Lemon the same way. He's going to the Dolphins at 11. You're depleted at wide receiver. Jordan Tyson's already off the board. Kansas City traded up for Carnell Tate. Other than that, who do you take? You got to take the obvious, and this is no knock on him, but out of them two, the third best wide receiver in the draft. So you take him at 11, replenish your wide receiver room, get a guy out there who's going to make plays for you. Miami's taking Lemon at 11.
Next on the board, number 12, Dallas. I've got them taking McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee.
Ooh, and see, I don't mind that pick at all because they definitely need help at that position. I also went cornerback, but I have them taking Mansour Deland. Um, either way, like you said, they need help at corner, and with either one of them, you really can't go wrong. So either way, they're going to get a bona fide stud at corner.
Right. Los Angeles Rams, pick number 12. I went with KC Concepcion. I think they're looking for another workhorse wide receiver that they can rely on, and they're all in. This young man that's coming in the building with the work ethic. Yeah, he's a franchise guy in my opinion.
Hey, and look, I'm not mad at that at all because I feel the same way. I had them taking a wide receiver, but it's Denzel Boston. I think they need a guy that can control the point of attack as far as what he's used to playing with. You know, you get you another, not a Megatron, but Megatron-esque kind of player. And so I think that's the way they go. Denzel Boston.
Well, it's definitely wide receiver. They're going for the chip. But
Oh
next
yeah.
on the board, we got pick number 14, Baltimore. I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's Leon, offensive lineman out of Penn State.
Ooh, and they definitely need to address that spot too. They need to address both sides of the line. I have them taking another Buckeye here with 14th pick, Caden McDonald. They need a guy who's Warren Sapp-esque, a hog molly who can plug the lanes, get to the quarterback, a guy who you know comes from a premium program, a guy who's ready to play.
Next pick on the board, we got pick 15, Tampa Bay. I've got them taking safety, Seidman out of Oregon.
Oh wow, safety. See, I didn't even think safety when it came to them. They definitely need to address a lot of spots here. In my opinion, I went with the obvious one they needed, and that was D end here. I went with Zion Young. They need more of a pass rush, and I think if you want less of a project, you would take him because he's more ready than more of the other guys who's left on the board who hasn't already gone.
I feel like Bane's still on your board. That's crazy. Uh, Let me go New York Jets with pick number 14,
16.
14 or yeah, 16. Sorry, my knee glasses. Cooper, uh, Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana.
Ooh, see, um, yeah, I mean that would be a jet-like move. I can see that happening. I had them going a different route because they need to address it. I have them going cornerback. I have them selecting Colton Hood with the 16th pick. Uh,
Okay.
Yeah, they need to shore up that secondary because sometimes the offense wasn't a problem, even though sometimes it was. But you've retained a lot of pieces. You got some things rolling. Um, I think that you need to go ahead and address the defense, especially since you've already did that with your first pick too. You shored up the middle of your defense in the front line almost with Sonny Styles. Now you get to that secondary.
not a bad suggestion there, I'd say. Pick 17, we got Detroit. I'm going offensive tackle Proctor out of Alabama.
Ooh, Caden Proctor. Yeah, I agree. They definitely need help on both sides of that line here. I did go in a different direction. I had them taking Keldrick Falk, defensive end, a guy who really is uber athletic, but he really needs some kind of molding. And I think that you can do that in Detroit, especially you can hook him up with Hutchinson. They tips to the trade, all that stuff, have them work out together. You can really get you a set of bookends.
Yeah, I like that pick. Pick number 18, Minnesota, going with safety McNeil Warren out of Toledo.
Ooh, and see, we're both in tune with them needing a safety here. But this particular mock draft here, because I believe some of the other teams are not ignorant, so to speak, but they just weren't in need of it. Even though that this dude can play all three levels, I have the Vikings selecting Caleb Downs with the 18th pick. He slid to
Ooh.
18. They get a jewel of a defensive player, a guy who can literally do everything on your defense, and you try to turn that thing around.
I tried on my board, he was available at pick 15, excuse me, I was trying to move up to Tampa Bay's pick 15 to take Thiemann just to get like a safety out of the mix, and it was interesting to see how much that was going to cost, and they immediately took him. And I was like, oh, that's okay. Pick
Mhm.
19, Carolina. I've got them taking Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. That could probably work. You get young Alabama a little chance to make some more plays with a guy. Um, I was going to address what I thought was literally their obvious need, which was pass rush, and I had them taking Akeem Mesidor, a guy who's kind of plug and play and ready to go. A guy who can really get your offense back on the field, even if it's a slow turn thing. You can get a lot of shots if you got closers, you like that, you know. So I'm thinking they go defensive line there.
And this was another trade up candidate for me, but I didn't trade up here, and I really feel like I probably should have in hindsight. But pick 20 is Dallas Cowboys, and they had Delane cornerback. So they picked up two nice cornerbacks on my draft.
Mm. Yeah, look, I'm not even mad at that because on my board, I had them taking another corner at 22, but this one was Brandon Cece. I had them
Mm.
taking them too. Like they need the most help in the secondary. And since Caleb Downs just went a few picks earlier, I thought he might have fell to Dallas, but the Vikings have a glaring need and they can't skip any safety that's on the board at that point. But yeah, Dallas takes another corner and it's Brandon Cece.
Pick 21, Pittsburgh. I've got them taking Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah.
Oh, another position that's in need, and they have glaring holes on both sides. Like I said, a lot of these teams, that's why I'm interested in seeing even if some of these picks that we're making up, some of these teams don't trade up because they're in need of needs on both sides of the ball. And I have them taking your boy, Reuben Bain Jr., with the 21st
Mm.
pick to go with TJ Watt. They're trying to restore that steel curtain. Mike Thomas out the building. You don't know what's going to happen with this team. The only thing I can guarantee is they might not, for the first time, and as far as my memory can go back, almost since Bill Cowher, they might have their first losing season.
It might just happen. Finally, pick 20. I'll finally be right about it. Pick
Boy.
22, Los Angeles Chargers. I've got them taking Mesidor, edge out of the University of Miami.
Ooh, see, that wouldn't be bad because you can team him up with a Bosa, get you a nice little pass rush there. But Lord knows they're trying to protect who they think is the best quarterback as far as analysts like to give him credit for in Justin Herbert. I still don't understand it. I never will. The glaze is real. So because they want to protect him, I have them taking Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, with the 22nd pick. They want to shore up that line, open up the run game more, and protect Justin Herbert because he gets hit a lot because they're that trash and they have no fan base. But the NFL glazes him like they do, and like he's one of the best, and yada yada.
20, pick 23, Philadelphia. I've got them taking Einhaker, offensive tackle out of Arizona State.
Ooh, see, I was also going offensive tackle with this one. I went Caleb Lomu. I think he fits more of the Philadelphia scheme, and he's more. I don't want to say as far as grittier because I think they both get down in the trenches, but I think he fits the Philadelphia mold a little better.
I like it. Pick 24, we've got Cleveland Browns. I got them taking Freeling, offensive tackle out of Georgia.
And see, we both went with Monroe Freeling for the Browns, but just in different spots. And like I said, I had him go 9 to the Browns. And who did you have for the Browns' first pick? It was it Lemon or no? I'm sorry, folks, I can't remember already. It was who?
Tyson. Tyson.
Tyson. See, we both did the same thing, but we did it in opposites, and that's crazy. Because the 24th pick, I had them taking KC Concepcion because they definitely need wide receiver help, and I feel like KC Concepcion can be there at 24 for them to take after they've already taken a stud at tackle because they can't afford to miss in their protection. They can take a flyer on KC Concepcion, but I don't think a flyer is necessary. I think he's a real talent. He got it.
Pick 25, Chicago Bears. I got them taking Howell, edge out of Texas A&M.
And that's definitely not a bad pick. Another guy who needs a little molding, but can definitely get after the quarterback. I had them going a different way on the defensive line here because they need a little bit of, well, not a little bit, they need help in the interior. I had them taking Peter Woods, defensive tackle. Like I said, they need all the help they can get on the inside, and for the Bears, that makes the most sense for me.
I don't like that pick.
Yeah, that's all right.
Buffalo Bills, Parker, edge out of Clemson.
And look, you talk about another team who needs pass rush help. I can see them doing that here, but I can also see them wanting to limit the exposure of Josh Allen in the run, or at least get it more under protection and structure. I have them going offensive tackle with Olia Vega Leon. A lot of these teams are trying to shore up their lines because they need to. They lost people to different teams. There's literally been a shift in offensive linemen this season. So I think that position is really not undervalued in this draft, but I think it's going to be seen more than what people think it wasn't. So Olia Vega Leon goes to the Bills at 26.
Yeah, I definitely hear that because at pick number 27 for San Francisco, I got Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Like it's just people learn to tackle as offensive linemen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because the Niners can definitely use that. Um, I think since they re-signed the boy Trent, I got to double check, but I'm pretty sure they re-signed him, or he's gonna resign either way. He's not leaving. I think they're gonna go with defense here because they definitely need some secondary help. I think they go with the Emmanuel McNeil Warren safety. They're going to try to shore up that secondary, get a guy who can, especially when most receivers high point and attack the ball, can prevent getting beat deep. They need definite help back there.
Yeah. Pick number 28, Houston Texans. I got them taking McDonald from the Ohio State.
And look, we both know they need help on that D line. McDonald would be a great pick there for them too if he's available. I think they could definitely go that direction. In my mock, he's not available, so I had them taking the next best edge rusher in Lee Hunter. They still need a guy who can stop the run, get to the quarterback. You take the next guy who's really ready to play. You know, can use a little grooming as any rookie would, but he's ready.
Yeah. Pick 29, the Kansas
Whew.
City Chiefs. I've got them going with Woods out of Clemson. That's why I was like, I don't like that pick earlier. I need him to be there at 29. Uh, and look, I think with my two picks, you don't have to pay King Carl once his contract's done, and you've got Bain. And with Woods, you're giving Chris Jones someone to work with on that interior defensive line, and you're gonna eventually pay him while paying Chris Jones a vet minimum kind of deal. Like you're gonna have to switch it up, and I think you're gonna start seeing a real big improvement in the trenches. Hopefully,
And you know, I can see that, and I really don't mind that. The only thing is, you know, in my mind, I think that this Cameron Jordan thing is going to happen for Kansas City, especially because Chris Jones said he wanted them to, you know, touch to your point. So I think they get the guy that he wants to play with already. And then on offense, you give Mahomes another weapon because at a certain point you might cut ties with Rice just because there's always something. It seems like so. I don't know if they're gonna keep him around. So why not get an absolute stud from wide receiver who you know is gonna be around for at least the next 5 years of Patrick Mahomes' 30s. So with that being said, them addressing that, and then in my mind addressing pass rusher with that, I have Kansas City taking a corner, Avion Terrell, because they definitely need to address that here. And you get another guy who's a guaranteed dog right there. Uh, he can go anywhere. He can follow anybody. He'll be a great fit, especially in Steve Spagnuolo defense.
yeah. And I'm usually anti cornerback first round for the Chiefs, but with our current cornerback room, I'm not actually opposed to it. I'm really not a. I'm not opposed to throwing another dart on the board there, especially with pick 29.
I mean, because last time they went in the 20s with a corner with McDuffie, yeah, I mean, it didn't do nothing but paying out.
Well, and he was an instant starter. That kind of if it's not the first round, it's definitely the second. Like we need to go early.
Yeah, but I think you take Terrell because he's not going to be available at 40. We ain't going to be
Yeah,
able to get him around there. He's going to be gone. So you're going to have to go ahead and just do what you got to do, and then you can get another pass rusher at 40. There's plenty left.
right. Pick number 30, Miami. I've got them taking Falk, edge out of Auburn.
Oh yeah, and he could be a dividend maker for him too. Like I say, he's just a guy who needs to develop. That's why I had the Lions take him at 17 to work with a guy who's another great pass rusher. He's really got a lot of upside, dude. Like I would be happy if they took him, but if history has shown anything with the Dolphins, they've already taken a wide receiver because it's depleted. They need help on that offensive line because they had the most concussed quarterback in history. I had them taking Maxi and Atchor, offensive tackle, because they need help up front desperately. And
Not a
I think that they take him.
bad, not a bad choice. Luckily for them, they don't have nobody to protect. Uh,
At the
New
moment, right?
England. So I got them taking Lawrence Edge out of UFC.
Man, and see, I didn't look at New England's defense and think they needed an edge rusher. They re-signed a lot of their own guys. I think that they're kind of content in that spot, or if something can be addressed later. I think the one glaring need that they're missing because they got rid of them, which was crazy, is wide receiver. and I have them taking Zachariah Branch. I'm thinking that they need more help for young Drake May, especially on offense since you got rid of Diggs. Like, you've got to replenish that thing. And so I think that's the first thing that they do.
And this could be a trade for AJ Brown with this pick. Just throwing that out there. It just
Look, in my original mock, I had Kansas City trading at 29th for AJ Brown, but I was like, no, let me leave it out. I was like, especially since we got Cornell right there. But look, there could be a couple moves, man. AJ, he might end up in Kansas City. That's a whole nother conversation.
right. Pick number 32, Seattle. I've got them taking Johnson, cornerback out of San Diego State.
Ooh, and see, that would be an absolute great pick at corner. Um, I had them taking another corner as well. I had them taking Jermod McCoy, sliding all the way to 32 to the Seahawks. Another guy who kind of fits the mold, but because of injury and all the other stuff, people took a flyer on him and just passed on him. Same reason why Kansas City didn't take him at 29. They're taking McCoy at 32, and I think that it might work out for him. Get your Legion of Boom back a little bit.
Can't be mad at that. It's not a bad strategy.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, this draft is going to be insane. First time in years. Well, first time I can remember that we've ever had 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it. I couldn't tell you the last time. It's been a while. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, a hot minute. So we're gonna see what happens this coming Thursday and Friday, and going forward here. Of course, we're gonna recap the draft and the picks. We talk about the fits and the molds, especially what they decide to do here. But I think as far as being a homer, talking about the Chiefs, glaring need at first is definitely a playmaker for Patrick Mahomes because our offense hums when we got a guy who can run fast and can actually catch the ball. Like I said, we've seen flashes with other dudes who ain't seen consistently since Tyreek, even though he still had drops of his own. But you get a guy like Cardell Tate who don't have any drops,
Right.
can run any route, hug the sideline tighter than he ever held his mama. You want a guy like that for Patrick Mahomes. He can put the ball anywhere, and Carnell's going to get it, dude. And
I'm with
it would
it.
be absolutely insane.
When I seen him there at 9, I still stuck with my Bane pick, but it did make me double take. I was like, ooh, I really like this draft so far. Like, it was interesting to see how that one was playing out.
Oh, yeah. And so, like I said, we're going to see what happens here. I can see kind of all the stuff unfolding. But like we say, this is the Bold Sports Show here. I mean, some of these are going to be accurate. We're usually more hit than miss. So at this point, I think that we've kind of nailed a need for each team, especially given a cohesive thought as far as the team, and even have different opinions on some of these picks. But some of these were so in unison that we knew what time it was, and that's what it is here. You know what I'm saying? Straight, unadulterated, right from the dome, truth to you.
Yeah. That's the Bold Sports Show, folks. Holler at us after the draft and tell us what we got right, what we got wrong, and how bad my picks were. Let me know.
Yeah, we'll eat a crow sandwich if it comes down to it. I'll take mine with mustard. Judge me if you want, a little pickle. But that's just what it is. We'll see what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, this was your mock draft, man. And the only thing left to do is see what happens Thursday in Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir. Y'all folks have a good
Ladies
night.
and gentlemen, good night. Oh, wow.